All right, today we're going to tackle something huge that's happening in Ethiopia's economy. How you, yes, you, can finally buy and sell shares. If you're even a little bit curious about investing and you're starting from scratch, this is your complete guide.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted to own a piece of one of Ethiopia's biggest, most successful companies? I mean, to not just be a customer, but to actually be an owner? For a long, long time, that was pretty much just a dream for most people. But that's all changing.
Now, look at this number. It's not just random, it's a big deal. 47,377. That's how many regular Ethiopians just subscribed to buy shares in the massive Ethio Telecom IPO. This wasn't some small group of insiders. This was a sign loud and clear that investing is finally opening up to everyone. And that's really the key here. We are stepping into a brand new financial era in Ethiopia. You know, the old, informal, behind-the-scenes ways of doing things? They're being replaced by a modern, accessible, and regulated system. And this explainer is going to be your map to navigate it all.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the big picture of this new era. Then we'll look at the tools you're going to need. We'll walk step by step through making your first trade, break down the real costs involved, weigh the good against the bad, and we'll finish up with a super practical checklist to get you started.
All right, first up, Ethiopia's new investment era. Let's dig into how the old way of doing things has been totally transformed into this new market.
You know, this timeline, it really tells the whole story. It shows this incredible journey from a kind of tangled and formal system of private sales to a structured modern market. It all kicked off with a really important law, the Capital Market Proclamation. From there, they created a market watchdog, the ECMA, and finally, the big one. They launched a central marketplace for everyone, the ESX.
And this right here is the heart of the new system, the Ethiopian Securities Exchange, or ESX for short. Just think of it as the main hub, the official, organized marketplace. This is where all the buying and selling of shares happens, but in a way that's transparent and regulated for everybody. But you might be wondering, who makes sure this marketplace is actually safe and fair? Well, that's the job of the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority, or ECMA. Think of them as the official referee, the watchdog, overseeing the entire system, to protect investors like you and me, and to make sure everyone is playing by the same set of rules. Okay, so that leads us right into our second section, the Modern Investor's Toolkit. We know this official market exists now, but how do you actually access it? What are the tools and the people you'll need to get in on the action?
So here's the thing. You can't just walk onto the floor of the stock exchange yourself. You need a licensed guide, someone called a trading member. These are firms like brokers or dealers, CB Capital's a great example, who are officially allowed to make trades on your behalf. Just think of them as your secure, regulated gateway to the entire market.
And just look at the amazing tools we have at our fingertips now. We're talking about online trading platforms and mobile apps like Marlin ESX that literally let you trade from your phone. You can get real-time market data, you can invest in different things like stocks and bonds, and get this, some platforms even have simulated trading. It's a fantastic way to practice your moves without risking a single burr. All right, let's get to the really practical stuff. Section 3, your first trade. We're going to break down the exact step-by-step action plan to take you from just being curious to actually becoming an investor. It honestly boils down to these 4 main steps. First, you open an investment account with a licensed broker. Second, you submit your KYC documents. Now, KYC sounds complicated, but it just stands for Know Your Customer. It's really just your ID and proof of address. It's a standard security check to keep the system safe. Third, you fund your account with whatever amount you want to invest. And finally, the exciting part, you place your order, telling your broker what you want to buy. Simple as that. Now, let's pause for a very important reality check. Section 4 is all about the real cost of investing. Because, let's be honest, while it's exciting, it's not totally free. Let's break down exactly what you can expect to pay in fees and taxes. Let's make this real. Imagine an investor, we'll call her Salem, wants to invest 10,000 birr. Okay, as you can see here, there are 3 main fees. First, her broker, in this case CBE Capital, takes a 1.6% commission. Then the ESX itself takes a small transaction fee. And finally, the regulator, ECMA, takes a tiny slice. So all in, the total cost on her 10,000 birr investment is just 211 birr, which is a little over 2%. And this chart here really puts that into perspective.
Out of that initial 10,000 birr, you can see that the vast majority, almost 98% of it, goes straight into your actual investment. That little sliver, just over 2%, is what covers all the costs of making the trade happen. It's so important to get this, so you know exactly where every single birr is going.
Now, there is one more cost to keep in mind, but this one only kicks in if you actually make a profit. So when you eventually sell your shares for more than you paid, that profit is called a capital gain. In Ethiopia, the tax on that gain, and only on the gain, is 30%.
Okay, so we've talked about the costs. This leads us to the million-dollar question, right? Is it actually worth it? And to answer that, you have to take a really balanced look at the potential rewards versus the very real risks.
On the one hand, the benefits. You've got the potential for long-term capital growth, which just means your shares could become more valuable over time. You could also get dividend income. Think of those as little cash payments the company sends you from its profits just for being an owner. But you have to look at the other side. Prices fluctuate, they go down too. And liquidity can be a challenge. Liquidity is just a fancy word for how easily you can sell your shares. If it's low, you might have to wait a bit to find a buyer. And, of course, in a brand new market like this, there's always a chance the rules and regulations could change. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most important section, your pre-investment checklist. Think of this as your final action plan to make sure you're investing smartly and, most importantly, safely. Seriously, before you invest a single beer, run through this list. First, always read the company's prospectus. That's its official report card. It tells you everything. Second, check if the company is actually profitable, not just getting a lot of hype. Third, understand if there are any lock-in rules that might stop you from selling for a while. Fourth, look into its dividend history. Does it have a good track record of sharing profits? Next, know your exit options. How would you actually sell if you needed to? And maybe the best piece of advice of all, start small. Think of your first investment as part of your education.
So here's the bottom line. Ethiopia's new capital market is a truly historic opportunity for everyday people to build wealth and own a piece of the country's growth. But it is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Smart, successful investing is always going to require two things: research and patience.
This whole system is really just getting started. It's growing and evolving right in front of us. It's a fundamental change in how money and ownership work in Ethiopia. So the only real question left is, are you ready to be a part of it?